This week's episode is sponsored by the Running Algorithm, your one-stop solution for running coaching. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Talking Triathlon, a podcast where James Bale, that's him, talks to Tim Ford, that's me, about the wonderful sport of triathlon. I've already said our names. So, Jimbo, how are you, mate? What's going on?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm good. I've had an active and busy weekend. We're recording a lot earlier in the week than we normally do, so I'm not quite fully recovered from the weekend yet. But the good thing about recording early is all that information is fresh in my brain and hasn't had time to just disappear like it normally does. But yeah, other than that, mate, yeah, I'm good. My legs are a little shot from the weekend, but did a 10K run yesterday just to try and bring myself back into the training fold. And on we go through the week. How are you, man?
Very well. Now, I'm just about to dismiss you. No, very good here. Yeah, it is early in the week. We are, but it's good because you're right. The action is fresh in my mind too. I watched again middle of the night race here for the T100 over the weekend, but I've watched the highlights first thing in the morning after, and then I've spent a fair bit of time on the trainer actually watching the race yesterday. So we definitely will be able to get stuck into the T100 action this weekend. Other than that, my dude, yeah, we had a last minute withdrawal from Super Tri Chicago for one of our crowd athletes, and I've been hustling manically trying to find a replacement
Yeah.
again, which is just fun.
Another
Uh,
one on top of the previous one.
well, we got it all sorted. We had the full team, and then I was like, oh,
Yeah.
finally, because finding that fourth female was an absolute disaster. And then another female pulled out, and it's like, oh, great.
Are we
Back
allowed to
to
mention the name of the other athlete that you filled the hole with yet or not?
I think Georgia Taylor Brown just decided to do the additional race, which is great. So GTB will be back. And then yeah, an athlete who I'm not sure had actually been announced yet has picked up a little. I won't name them just because it's obviously
Yeah, that's
their
that's the
sort of
name I'm
news.
talking about.
Oh no, I won't say just because I don't know if they're ready to talk about the injury or anything like that. But now I need to find somebody else. So I'm assuming that by the time people hear this, it will be done. It's just that race is like in 12 days' time, and I'm getting a bit
Yeah,
stressed.
it's coming. It's
And
coming.
I've already looked at the possibilities of having three athletes instead of four. I threw out the wild name that we should try get Taylor Nibb to race. I suggested that we should take a swing and ask Taylor to do it. I think she'd be a good pick actually, but it just depends, I suppose, if she's going to stay in Europe between London and France. I don't actually know if she's on the start list of France. I can't remember what we just spoke about last week. But that is it for me. Jimbo, if people want to find out a bit more live in real time what's going on with us, they can head to patreon.com/talking triathlon. I'll get into the WhatsApp group where we are talking with our patrons. There's like 80 something people in there, which is awesome. And yeah, it's going on all the time. We've been discussing things all the time. And the kit, the images of the kit that didn't get used by you but got used by Lewis was a big hit over the weekend. And it's always fun to have a race
Lewis did
going
a
on.
good job, mate. He
Yeah.
did a good job. He doesn't seem to have any inhibitions in the slightest. He whapped on the kit. He strutted around transition wearing it. He went and did the swim. He had to take the wetsuit off as he came out of the water, and he ran in as fast as he could. He did a sound job. Second out the swim, the man was as well. So I was very impressed. That kit must be fast.
Mate, it's a good looking kit. I don't know why you're so anti it. I mean, if I had a kit with my face on, I'd wear it with pride, but that's what we'll think about next year. Anyway, you
I
didn't
just
wear
want a
it.
nice tri-suit.
Don't worry,
I want
I'll get my revenge is coming. I've already got my revenge plan for you not wearing the tri-suit, and you are going to regret that decision.
I
But I'm
just
not.
want a nice tri-suit.
Well, I'll get you a very nice tri-suit, but something's in the works,
I
mate. Let's.
appreciate the comments on the YouTube video from a lot of people saying, "Why has
I
James
hate
got to
it.
wear the kit? Why doesn't Tim wear
And
some
as I've
ridiculous
said,
clown
well,
suit?"
I mean, I do always wear ridiculous clown suits. Have you seen the tri-suits that I race in? They're not exactly plain, but one of us chose to wear an all-white tri-suit, so that's the origin story. Let's just get straight into it, mate. Let's talk T100. We were there. I mean, we weren't there. You were there. Let's start with your on-the-ground
I
thoughts.
was
What was
there.
it like being there in person?
Yeah, so I rocked up on the Friday into London. The T100 didn't really open its doors to the public until the Saturday because the age group racing started early Saturday morning. They had the relays. they had the sprint triathlon in the morning, and then it rolled through into the women's pro racing at 12-ish, and then the men's racing at a bit later, obviously starting before the women's race had finished. We will discuss that in a bit. But yeah, I mean, very similar vibes to the previous year in London. Excel Centre, a great location for a race in terms of race logistics, you know, getting there, understanding where you need to go. The public transport is amazing, places to stay in abundance. There's loads of restaurants around there, easy access to central London if you need it. It is logistically a very good place to stay, a very good place to hold a race. And from my perspective, being someone who was doing the relay as an age grouper, it was a very easy and fluid experience to get in, understand where I needed to be, get my stuff, get our bike racked on the Saturday morning, and then orientate ourselves around the race and know how it all played out. You had quite a lot of age group racing happening at different times. So you'd have loads of people racking their bikes, loads of people wandering around trying to sort the stuff out whilst swimmers were coming in and out of the water and races were taking place. That I thought initially might have been a bit of a problem, but it wasn't. It just kind of happened. The City AM relay that we were part of as the Talking Triathlon team was good fun. It was great fun actually. There was lots of banter going on as we hung around by T1 and where the T2 was. I had Michael Dulce giving me shit. I had Tim Hemming giving me shit. We beat Tim Hemming's team. I couldn't catch Michael Dulce on the run. He had about a 30-second lead on me out of transition, and I could not pull him back. We maintained pretty much the same distance from each other, which was painful, heartbreaking, if I'm honest. Nothing I'd have liked more than to go sailing past that man. But the people that won the City AM relay, they cheated. So we're not that worried about them.
Who cheated? What was it? Tell me. Explain what happened.
Oh, they hop as you come running into transition, you're meant to come all the way down, go around a thing and then back up, and it's about an extra 30 seconds, but the guy hopped the barrier, just didn't do the full run.
Well, there you
So
go.
we
I
don't
mean,
like that.
I think we need
It's
an
all fun and
inquiry.
games until someone decides to cheat.
I know T100 are listening, so
Hey,
guys, I think we need to get a live inquiry done to work out the source of this because that sounds unacceptable to me, mate.
it does, doesn't it? Yeah, yeah. Especially when it's all fun and games. But you hop the barrier, then what are you doing? What's life? What is life? And also they didn't do the chip thing. They just held the chip in their hand. They didn't put it on their ankle.
I mean, that's
Bad times all round, mate.
bad. So they swam with it in their hand.
Well, I don't know. The guy had it in his hand as he came out, and then
Hmm.
they just they just had it in their hand on the run.
I mean, look, we've had big controversies this year. We've seen,
This is the biggest.
I was about to say this is the only one that really matters. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter about Christian Hogenhagen's questionable penalty in Frankfurt. It doesn't matter about Magnus Ditlev's disqualification, not disqualification in Frankfurt. What really matters is the fact that the team that won the AM relay
Yeah.
cheated. So there you
The
go.
sprint, AM sprint. But no, after that, then we did the relay. I had time to dive back to my little Airbnb, which was horrible. It was like being in prison. Worse, I would say, than being in prison because there was a shared toilet. At least in prison, you get your own facilities. Um, and then I got back in time to watch the pro racing, and the pro racing experience, from my perspective, was really good. The VIP area was much, much, much improved this year. They had a big indoor platform right in the middle of the arena, which had a bar underneath it, and then you could go up to the top and watch the pro racing from a really good vantage point. You had the transition on one side, and we just had the finish line on the other side. And they had screens in there, so you could see what was happening when they were out of the arena, and then you could watch them lap through on the run, which was great. And I spent a lot of time watching it with Lizzie, who unfortunately didn't race due to sickness. But yeah, I mean, from my perspective, I had a really good weekend. I enjoyed the racing, and I think they put on a good show. I still think, despite me saying logistically it's a good place to have the race, I still think that if you've gone there as a spectator to watch the race and you haven't got access to the VIP area, it's a bit of a fiddly nightmare getting from watching the transition to out watching the bike course to out watching the run. There's quite a lot of walking to be done. The decision to go and watch the bike rec course is enough of a walk to be like, can I be bothered to walk for that long to get down there to watch the bike? Can I be bothered to walk all the way back and then a bit further on the other side to watch the run? It's quite a movement festival.
I was going to ask that because one of the things, so for people who don't know, I was at London as well last year, spectator, and I struggled very, like, I found it quite difficult because not only, I mean, I think it's also quite a great venue, but there was a lot of construction and stuff happening along the sort of water's edge that the run course goes down. I was trying to sort of spot it when I was watching, but was that still the case? Like, well, a lot of those buildings still had the barricades around them and everything, or was the actual like movement a lot freer this time?
No, there's still it's a strange one because the race course is along the waterfront, and therefore it past the DoubleTrees Hotel and then down the other side. When you come out to walk to the run course, your brain is automatically telling you, I need to walk that way because that's the way I need to walk. But that's all barriered off. So you have to go quite a long dog's leg round and then back towards the hotel to get anywhere near the run course, which is counterintuitive the way your mind works. So I think bit better signposting might help with that, just because you're gonna. I noticed there was a real noticeable drop off when the women's race finished, or when the women's race was going. There was quite a noticeable drop off in crowds in the EXL Centre because a lot for the men's race, because I think a lot of people were there for the age group in the morning and then probably didn't stick around for the full afternoon. I think it's a bit of a shame that that big T100 race, which happened on the Sunday, isn't on the same day as the pro race like it was last year. Because last year I did the big T100 race. I had time to do that race, get back, get a shower, get changed, and then come back and watch the pro racing. And I think that's a perfect sort of day package because when you've got all these people racking for the T100 race in the afternoon whilst the pro racing is taking place, their eyes aren't on that pro race. And then they're not, if you're someone who's going to really take your A race or B race or whatever it is really seriously that day, then are you going to want to spend all day on your feet watching the pro
Mm.
racing? I don't know. I'd like it to be one big day, but you know, I'm not the T100.
Yeah.
They have their reasons, I'm sure.
I was actually a little unclear whether they had because last year it was all on the same day, and when I was watching, and then I like again with the WhatsApp group going, you were saying you'd race. I then assumed that it had all happened, but then there was chats about it happening the next day, and I was a little confused about it actually. Yeah, the
Yeah, they
schedule.
had
So
the T100 big race and the Olympic race on the Sunday morning. They
okay.
had the sprint relays and the sprint race on the Saturday morning. The pro race was the Saturday afternoon.
Do you
Um,
do you think that if they put the amateur races the day before, do you reckon enough people would hang around to watch the pro race, or do you think there's not enough interest in the pro race?
yeah, I think it would have made it easier for everybody
Yeah.
because I know that I think so. I think so. I think once you because then what you do is you just leave people can leave their bikes in transition if they want, watch the pro racing. You don't have to have um this admin taking place, which is people dropping bikes off and registering
Yep.
for races whilst the pro race is taking place. There was a
Mm.
bit of a crossover there. But I think they do a really good job presentation wise while you're there. It feels like you're at a proper event. Maybe not on the bike course, on the broadcast. But other than that, I think presentation wise, you walk into the arena and you're like, oh, this is proper.
The one takeaway I had from the bike course was that the UK love witches hats because bloody hell, there was a few witches hats out on that bike course.
Yeah. Yeah, I had messages from people saying like I would just get confused on that
Oh man, it
bike
was
course.
confusing. Well, did you, I know you obviously
Yeah.
haven't seen the broadcast, but there was one point during the women's race. Let's get into the racing, but Holly Lawrence, who I know had just probably wasn't necessarily super paying attention, but she nearly come undone because yeah, man, I trying to watch it on TV, I had no idea what was going on half the time in terms of that. But I want to start by saying that fucking hell, I was wrong about my picks last weekend. Absolutely got it horribly wrong. I never, and I stand by this. I would not have picked Lucy Charles Barclay for the win, and the way she won this race, my God, watch out, Kona. That Kona race is looking So I was out running today, and I was just thinking about how good that women's race in Kona is going to be at the moment. Like this year, I think we're going to see a truly exceptional women's race because Lucy Charles just dominated, mate. Like, looking at this fastest run split, fastest swim split, she looked so good on the run, and the way the race unfolded, absolutely brilliant. Like, I wonder if like it takes a certain element of confidence, I think, to allow the athlete, like it was Kate Wall who passed her, to go and then like focus on yourself and then eventually run back to the win. Man, it was an absolutely brilliant
Yeah.
performance by Lucy Charles-Barclay.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you had a very f swift swim with Charles Barkley and Liamoff, obviously leading things out of that with Lucy having the fastest swim. And then it came down, the bike was the bike. Georgia Taylor Brown had a massive issues on the bike. Watching her have those mechanical problems was not pleasant. I can't imagine the level of frustration that she'd have had on that. Um, Lucy Charles-Barclay entered T2 with a narrow lead ahead of Nib, 11 over Liamoff and 22 on Kate Woff. And then it came down to that run battle, didn't it? Watching them come out of T2 and then sort of form that little group, it was exciting. It really was to be there on the ground watching it happen, watching them run so close together, watching them come through that first lap together. I was like, we could have a run for the ages here. Imagine if they came into that finishing chute shoulder to shoulder and it was a three-way split. That sprint, that was what was going through my head. And I was like, this is going to be astounding. But Kate Woff attacked. She's the one who, as Taylor Nibb started to fade, Kate Woff attacked. And I thought that was it. If I'm honest, I thought, okay, well, we're going to see Kate take this win. We're going to see Lucy Charles hold for a strong second, and we're going to see Taylor Nibb have a uncharacteristic poor race and finish in third place on the podium. But like you say, watching Lucy measure her effort, just think, right, okay, I'll focus on me and what I can do. I'll keep her within sight. I won't let her escape. I won't let the race run away from me. And then I think it was about 2K to go, wasn't it? She passed her, put a surge in, and then just ran on for the win. I missed that moment because it was so cold in the Excel Center and I didn't have a jacket. I went outside to just warm up because I was starting to shiver. So I missed that moment. But when I came back in, I think it was Lizzie who was like, Lucy's going to win this. She's got the lead again now. And I was like, oh, really? Oh, I was warm then.
There was a really brilliant moment on the commentary where so again, you probably didn't see, or maybe you would have seen parts of it, I'm not sure, but as there's that sort of ramp up to transition where they run through the XL Center, there's a bit of a climb, and you saw Kate Wall start to grimace a little bit and like look over the shoulder as she's coming through transition, and you could hear Jan in commentary. And again, I'm going to talk about the broadcast later, but the guy is so good, such a good addition to the commentary team. You could hear him being like, oh, because people were talking about, oh, she grimaced a bit. And Jan's like, no, no, she looked over her shoulder. That's what told him, okay, Kate Waugh's in a bit of trouble here. And it was the way they describe the pass. And I mean, I've spoken in the past about maybe some missed opportunities in other race broadcasts about key moments. And I thought this was really well handled because you had both Vicky Holland and Jan talking about it. And when Lucy passes and puts the surge and doesn't look over, you hear Jan, and it was such a brilliant line where he's like, she's so impatient, like no patience at all. She could have run with Kate for a while and then sort of attack, but Lucy literally pulls up next to her, doesn't even sit on it, just goes, puts the surge. You could see Kate sort of try, and then very quickly became apparent she wasn't going to be able to. And again, the thing that I really appreciated watching it was you could then physically see the change come over Kate Wall, where her like shoulders drop, her like everything sort of tenses and her form goes, whereas Lucy just looked exceptional. I mean, again, like when I think about Lucy Charles Barclay as an athlete, I mean, she's won everything at this point in her career. Literally, I think she's got every title possible. But I've never thought of her as like, and I know she's a good runner, but I would never think of her as the runner that can outrun Ash Gentle, Julie Darren, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
and
Yeah,
she did,
yeah.
mate. She outran them all.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It was that must be infuriating, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely right. I was chatting with Lizzie on the top of the platform thing that we were standing on, and I think it was Lizzie who said to me, she's been running really well recently. Don't discount Lucy Charles's run. She's been putting in some really strong runs, and she referenced the park run time she's been doing um, for to emphasize the increase in speed, and absolutely bang on, like you say, fastest swim, fastest run overall. You've got
Second fastest
Julie
bike.
Derron. Yeah, second fastest. You've got Julie Derron in that field. You've got Ashley Gentle in that field. You've got people who are incredibly strong runners who you'd think if Lucy Charles is in my brain, if Lucy Charles is going to win a race like this, you think, okay, she's going to have a really strong swim, a really strong bike, and then she's going to be third, fourth fastest runner, and hold off those really strong runners. But to put in the fastest run of 106.02, remarkable.
And this
And
is
she said at
why,
the,
sorry,
oh,
I
go
just want to
ahead.
say, but this is why also we're seeing athletes like Ash Gentle not perform this year. It's because that traditionally, or at least in the last couple of years, how we've sort of seen these races unfold is you have a decent swim with a bike and maybe a tail and nib will get away, but or not. But there's this bike, and the gap hasn't been big enough so these athletes to be able to get off and run it down. But what we have these days, or even if they do get a decent gap, there's such a gap in their running that they're able to, they can't they can't hold the gap. We're having this group now, and I stand by what I said last week. I still think that this race wasn't won. Like I think what a lot of people probably would have expected if you looked at this, you'd see a Taylor Nib just get on the bike right away and that's it. I don't think that's what we saw. I think this really was a very complete triathlon for those women at the front, where they were fastest swimmers, they were fastest bikers, and they were fastest they runners. They did all three. So you can be a Julie Darren or you can be an Ash General, but if you're not even running the fastest splits because the two girls who are coming first and second, you're shut out of the race. And it's just like I said, I'm I'm so impressed by Lucy leading. Like I'm just yeah. That Kona race now, I am salivating at the thought of what we're going to see, considering so many women are in such good shape leading into this race, and all of them doing performances in different ways. Where
Yeah.
like Laura Phillip breaking the Ironman world record the way, and then Kat Matthews beating Taylor Nibb the way she did in Texas, and now Lucy doing this here, and it just really is this very exciting
Yeah.
possibility where because I think all those athletes, with the exception of maybe. Oh, I don't even know. Like, I just think that Kona race is going to be something special this year, and probably similar. Like last year's Kona race is the last Ironman distance race I've watched that I've truly, truly enjoyed. And I think we're gonna. I loved that race last year, and I think we're probably going to see something. We'll probably see some blow-ups. We'll have to see people taking risks, and it's going to make for just a wonderful, exciting event.
Yeah, it really is. And the closeness in the racing is really coming together.
Yeah.
When the T100 started, you had people would win the race and it would be fairly evident who was going to win the race. I loved this women's race because it wasn't evident. And I think I'll just go through the results quickly. You had Lucy Charles-Barclay in first, Kate Wolf in second, Taylor Nibb rounded off the podium in third, ahead of Judy Darren, Lucy Barham, Jess Learmonth, Ashley Gentle, Lisa Petier, Hannah Berry, India Lee in 10th. And then they went all the way down to 16th with Els Visser, and then two DNFs, Holly Lawrence and Meg McDonald. Hope Meg McDonald's okay after watching her
Yeah, it didn't
dislocate
look
her
good.
shoulder in the swim. That's as a man who has dislocated his shoulder many times and has a shoulder replacement, I know that pain, and it is not a pleasant one. It's a panicky feeling, especially when you dislocate it in a swim because you're suddenly underwater with a shoulder that doesn't work. So, sending her all the best. I hope that it just pops in and out and she hasn't done any damage that requires surgery because that ain't fun either. I've been there.
I was
Um,
going to say, based on Hayden, maybe some shoulder surgery could be good.
yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't come back 9 weeks later and
No.
win a race. Um, So Lou's got a couple of quotes here, but there's an interesting one from Taylor Nibb. I'll start with Lucy. Lucy said, "It feels so amazing. I'd say the last 3 or 4 years have been a roller coaster with injuries. I definitely feel like this is confirmation I'm getting back to my best self. And yeah, I can't wait for the rest of the season." Kate Woff said, "I went for it. I have no regrets. I found the limit today. Of course, I'm a bit gutted not to bring home a win, but I went for it." I love that, because she may have known, she may have felt that she wasn't in a place to really get that victory, but she still just thought, well, if I'm gonna go, I'm gonna go now, and I'll see where the dice land. And I like that. But the most interesting quote aligns with what you just said about how the closeness of the racing and and how you've got different athletes with different strengths, showing different strengths at different times. And that's from Taylor Knibb. And she said it's a very exciting race to Qatar. If we do the math right, the top four, Kate and I each have a first, a second, and a third. Julie has a first, a second, and a fourth, plus a 12th in Singapore. And Lucy has a first, a third, and a fourth. And that's pretty pretty tight racing for the top four. And she's right. It
Mm.
really is tight racing. You're seeing different athletes with different skill sets, all, finding their way to crack the code of this T100 series. And that then applies across the season and applies all the way into Kona. And I think Kona is going to be fucking brilliant, mate.
Mate, I'm like chomping at the bit for it. Like,
Mm.
like and again, no disrespect to the men this time, but I'm nowhere near as excited about the men's race than I am about Kona. And it is because of these consistently incredible performances we've seen by women. Like I honestly think most of the best races we've seen this year have been the women's. Like the women have had like some just absolute battles. I think yeah, I'm absolutely preferring women's racing this year, and yeah, I'm yeah frothing. You could say frothing for Kona this year. Uh, the other thing I want to touch on, Georgia Taylor Brown, as I said, I went big on Georgia. I thought we'd expect to see Georgia do really, really well. As you said, a few mechanical problems on the bike. I am interested also to see what we see with Georgia. I know she's doing super try, but yeah, I guess
Yeah,
what's next for
mechanical
her?
problems, no good.
Mm,
Watching her try and get on that bike over and over again, and then eventually, I
mm,
think they had to change the cassette in the end.
wow.
Um, that's no fun. That's no fun. I can't imagine what that does to you in levels of frustration and just like, oh, fuck this shit. She had a cool kit though, didn't she?
Yeah, do you know she's British?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, yeah.
Let's talk about the men, mate, because similar to what I said about the women's, I was absolutely terrible with the men's. I would not, just like I would not have picked Lucy Charles for the win for all the Team China. I had no expectations of Hayden Wilde doing as well as he did. I'm flabbergasted by this performance, mate. It is insanity.
Yeah, I didn't pick him for the win, but I put him in my top five because I was very hopeful that he was gonna be back somewhere, having some of the strength that we'd seen him before. And then I went to the DoubleTrees Hotel on the Friday to have a coffee and catch up with Lizzie and have a chat with her coach Mark. And as I was arriving, Hayden was coming down the lift and came into reception. And I gave him a hug, said it was good to see you. And he just seemed so confident, mate, and
Mm.
relaxed. He didn't seem like somebody that was, you know, tentatively coming back from an injury.
Yeah.
He was just like, I got a vibe of just, yeah, how you doing?
Hayden,
Good to see you,
how he
mate, and
is,
all
how he
this.
is. Yeah.
Yeah. So there wasn't. I was worried there would be a kind of this because this injury seemed and was really
Horrific.
quite dramatic, horrific,
Yeah.
and you've seen the scars of the surgeries he's had to have. It's not been an easy road, and I was worried that I would meet a Hayden that I didn't recognize in a sense, more nervous, slightly unsure version, but it was absolutely just 100% him, taking the piss. Um, it was standard Hayden, and that gave me a real sense of, I think we might be about to see something cool here. And that's exactly what we saw in the men's race. He didn't have a swim for the ages, but he never does. But he certainly didn't have the worryingly shit swim I was concerned a man who'd done that much damage to his shoulder might have. I mean, Leo Berger put in the best swim of 25:13. Hayden came out in 16th at 26:09. I mean, that's
It's
pretty Hayden-esque, isn't it?
still. So what is he? 26:09. He was still 3 minutes 20 odd seconds ahead of Sam Long, who hasn't, shattered his scapula and hasn't had to have
And
surgery.
a lot of the social chat was all about, oh, Sam Long and Hayden going to be working together. Bullshit.
Yeah, mate, not even.
Like, if I was Hayden and I'd heard that, I'd have been like, hang on a second. Hang on a fucking second. But yeah, so watching him do what he did, he came out of the swim and he just methodically worked his way through the field up to second place, chasing a charging Rico Bogan. I love myself a bit of Bogan, mate. I really do. Great bloke.
It's known about you, mate. I
Watch.
know that James Bell loves a bogan, so that's why it's been so long since you came to Australia, mate, isn't it? You loved a few too many bogans when you were out here.
Too many. Yeah, I'm blacklisted. Rico putting in the strongest bike with a 147.36, charging off the front. Hayden finishing the bike in second, having worked his way up from that, like I said, that 16th place swim, working his way through the field. Then wasted no time cutting down Rico's lead in the run, took control of the race, and just started building that momentum as the race went on. I didn't watch the finish of the men's race from the platform because, again, I got a bit cold. So I went out to the run course with Lizzie and Mark and family and stuff, and we watched the run take place. So I didn't see the finish. I wasn't really aware of what was happening screens wise or broadcast wise, but you get a much better sense, as you know, from the run course of where the athletes are and how they're feeling. And he just looks so in control and so relaxed and so like he was on the limit. I know they always are, but he didn't give that sense. There were athletes out there that I was watching that were either really suffering or were on the absolute limit of what they could do. Mika Newt, for example, you could tell that he was on the rivet
Yeah.
to hold on to his second place and to get his first second place. Well done to him. Love to see it. But Hayden just looked like he was in control of that race.
Well, we spoke about this with the women's, right? With Lucy, fastest swim, fastest run. You probably could make an argument for seeing a fully. I mean, like, I'm gonna pretend like when we saw a fully fit Hayden, I believe. You would expect Hayden Wilde to probably be the first or second fastest runner in any race he does. I think he's probably with the exception of Alex, he's the best runner in the sport. Sixth fastest run. He had the second fastest bike, he had the 16th fastest swim. Like what again? We spoke about earlier is this is just a very well-rounded performance. Yes, there's a slight weakness with his swim, but we're not talking about minutes like with others. Just a very, very, very consistent across all three sports performance. And what we see, unlike with a lot of the short course racing he's done in the past, where the swim is a lot, he is not a front pack swimmer in short course. He can be in longer, obviously he's not front pack here, but he's still close enough. And I just think this is very well-rounded performance. And the thing, and again,
we've seen him do some long courses where he's come out in the front pack.
Correct. Exactly.
I mean,
he's let out the swim at races in 70.3s, right? But the thing that I've spoken to you about, I've spoken to a few other athletes about that just is like so impressive. Or the thing that I keep just going like, it just shows how fucking good this kid is not, no one else here. I mean, other athletes have had injuries, but a lot of the guys he's beaten, the Yellow Gaines, the Rico Bogans, these guys, they're not taking, months out of any of the three. The fact that he can take that time out, come back, not even ease back in, come back in and win the thing. It's just so impressive. And part of like the kind of like part of my voice, like I guess there's the pessimist is going, this is like Sam Laidlow. Like, is it that like, is it that one of the things I've heard a lot after this race is about the comeback of Lucy, the comeback of Hayden, the comeback of Sam Laidlow, the comeback of Cat Mate. Like we hear about all these comebacks all the time. And I am wondering and look, I understand that Hayden had a horrific injury, and I think he's probably the least of it, but is this like a thing where I'm starting to go like, can we actually trust what we're seeing all the time? Like, because I watched the stuff that Hayden was putting out, I was like, fuck, this guy's in real trouble here. I was wrong. Like, it's just,
yeah. You mean trust as in what the athletes are saying about how,
yeah, all the content they put out, or is it a little bit of marketing where they all know that triathlon loves a comeback story now, so it is a little bit like and again, Hayden is probably the exception to this rule. And I'm talking generally now, not necessarily about Hayden. Probably other athletes I'd apply this more.
We can clearly see he's been on a journey.
Yeah, but it's like they feel like they have to have the violin playing with the reins, and they're sitting outside, and suddenly it's like they come back and they're brilliant. Like I don't know, but fuck, man, Hayden was just. Like I always say that I will say stuff, and again, a few people gave us a bit of shit this week about being as wrong as we were. I would rather take swings and be wrong, and like I said this on every show we do. I'm always happy to be proven wrong, as I absolutely was here.
Just because we do a podcast doesn't mean we're right about shit.
Correct.
We do our best.
Man, I was filled with joy to see Hayden. Like just the fact that he's
brought a tear to my eye. Yeah.
He's going to be in such a good position now to win this series, and I would like to see him win this series. I love Hayden. I have a lot of love, but some of the other performances, mate, that I would like to talk about a little bit. I mean, Mino Koolhaas coming in fourth. I think that's going to be one of his better, results in recent times for Mino Koolhaas. Very, very, very great racing from him. I love Rico, mate. I love to see him just absolutely smash himself. And he
Send
looked
it.
like a sack of
Yeah.
shit on the run. Like he looked like he was
Oh, he really did. When
in
I
the
say
locker.
you get a sense for how people feel on the run course, you'd have Hayden coming past first, looking just in control, looking like, he hadn't broken a sweat type thing. You had Mika Nuke come past and he looked like he was running fast, but he looked like he was on the rivet. Then you
Mm.
had Yella Gaines coming past. That man is exactly how I wish
It's
I
sexy,
looked
isn't
when I
it?
run.
It's very
It's
sexy.
just like, fuck, man, that's how I want to run. That's how my mind's eye sees me running until someone shows me a video of how I actually look when I run. Mino Koolhaas was on his own and he looked like he was blowing a little bit. Rico went by and he looked like he was standing still, man. He looked like he was, and I was chatting to Mark, like it's funny how he can look quite as abysmal as he does, but still be going quite fast,
Mm.
fast enough to hold on to his fifth place and to put a 106.16 run in, which is the 14th fastest run. So it just goes to show how much of a lead he gave himself by putting in that 147.36 bike, because to be able to do the 14th fastest run and still hold on to fifth place, chapeau, my friend.
Um, Yuri Coolin's had a few challenges over the last year, and good to see him. He was the second fastest runner, even though he finished in seventh. Leo Berger, I didn't realize this. I heard them saying on the broadcast that he actually had a few issues where he wasn't able to ride the bike that much because he had, I think they said it was like sciatica. So he was getting numbness in his legs from riding the bike. Probably actually similar to what I've been going through myself this year. And again, talk to the quality of the commentary of somebody like Jan Frodeno, where they were like, "Oh, but he's been running a lot." And Jan's like, "Yeah, but he's not running fatigued, and running fatigued is completely different to running fresh." And I'm like, "This is good stuff." Like I learned things from listening to Jan commentate. But no, I was a little
Yeah,
disappointed with Leo. But again, if there's an injury,
I agree with
that
that.
kind of makes
I
sense.
think having a run injury is better than having a bike injury, because I think if you've got a run injury, you still bike and you still sort of, and then when you start running again, you can still do that fatigue running. But when you've got a bike injury, it takes away that ability to fatigue your run.
The running algorithm is a brand new tool that gives you a training plan for everything from 5 kilometers to marathon. You know that your schedule can change, and if you have to skip a session or just end up running with a friend and doing some extra, the running algorithm will adapt and adjust your plan to keep you consistent. Head to therunningalgorithm.com and use the code TALKINTRIATHLON, all capitals, and you can use the running algorithm for free while they add lots of exciting new features over the next 3 months before you decide if you want to go on and pay later. You said you wanted to talk about the overall stands and how all of this impacts things. Can you give us an understanding of where we are and how things are looking on the road to Qatar as we keep hearing about?
Did I say that? But yeah, yeah, definitely. Julie Derrin is in first place on the women's front. Kate Wolf is in second. So Julie Derrin's got 96. Kate Wolf has got 90 points. Taylor Knibb has got 90. So that's a joint second, but there'll be something that separates those two. Lucy Charles-Barclay is in fourth. Jess Learmont's in fifth. Ashley Gentle's in sixth. All the way down to um, let's say let's stop at 10th place. 10th place is Holly Lawrence, who had a DNF this weekend. On the men's side, I've got a screen here somewhere. 2 seconds.
Oh, he's doing it. He's not as
Oh,
confused as
mate,
he was through
I
the rough
had all my
times.
screens set up. On the men's front, Mick and Newt is leading the series with 93, ahead of Yella Gaines on 90. Rico Bogan's in third, Martin Van Riel in fourth, Hayden Wilde in fifth, Yuri Kulin in sixth, Antonio Benito Lopez in seventh. Antonio Benito Lopez, who got the fastest T1 at London.
Congratulations. That's the obviously the
Congratulations, mate.
that's where it matters. That's the
That
result that
is where it
everybody wants to know
matters.
about. So congratulations. I think Kate War had it in the women's off the top of my head. But no. Do you want to talk a little bit about, I mean, I'll probably have a little bit of a talk about the broadcast now because it's something that we do
Yeah,
sort
I
of
think
focus on a little
you were
bit.
probably better positioned to analyze the quality of the broadcast than me.
And I do like to, I guess, touch on it just because, it's sort of evolving and it has been evolving for a couple of years. Man, I think they did a really good job in lots of things. I didn't see any of the little errors or things that I'd spoken about in previous races in terms of the graphics, and everything seemed to be really super accurate, which I still think that they do the best job of telling the story of what's happening in the race with the information on screen. I think that was really brilliant. I think the commentary team is exceptional. I think those three together do a great job. You've got, again, I'm sorry, I think his name's Matt, the sort of everyman who's not got that expertise and asks the questions. And I really appreciate that approach. But Jan Frodeno is just whatever he touches, he's the greatest at. Like what a great addition to a commentary team. And I think that him and Vicky Holland do a really good job together. So I thought that was good. Having said that, there are a few things that I do need to talk about. One of which I struggled to really understand, because one of the things they did this year is they had an alternate stream, which was the quad box, so you could sort of pick the action you wanted. Mate, they just showed the men's swim the whole time. Like, while there's this absolutely incredible battle happening in the women's race,
Yeah.
let's
Yeah, I've
show a
heard
swim.
this.
And I thought that was a very, very bizarre choice. And little things like, it's so funny how very often you watch a race and it's like, show us the men, show us the men, show us the men, show us the men. And this time it was very much show us the fucking women. Like, this is a very good race battle we're having going here. So that was an odd choice, especially considering that on the swim they keep swimming past this like derelict warehouse, which I just thought looked like, maybe choose a different camera angle so you can't see the fact that they're in the ghetto of whatever. I thought that was a weird thing. But similarly, when the women then finished to flip the coin, they held on the finish area too long. I don't mind going to show the women finishing, but you don't need to show them standing around talking to each other. Like, there's a race happening at the same time. So I think that just shows that they're like I said, they're improving every single week, and there's things that are getting better and better. But the biggest challenge, I think, and this is probably, I don't think it applies to short courses as much. I think it does seem to be a longer distance, 70.3 T100 Ironman thing, is they just need, whoever is in charge of what you see, they need more expertise, or they need a change or something, because I feel like you just do often see these weird things happen that, like, I know, I mean, I've seen a lot of the memes and stuff. Like, I'm obviously not the only one who noticed this, and it's disappointing to me that those are the things that drag attention away, I think, from what is overall quite a good job. Like, I do think that, I mean, I think the T100 are the best long course, and I still think Supertri is the standard. I think Supertri did the best triathlon broadcast. I think T100 are probably the best long distance racing broadcast now. It's just these little own goals sometimes that I think are so close, like they're close, but they're still just not quite there. And again, I know that they like I'm not saying anything they don't know as well, right? They would have received the feedback, they would have listened. They're listening to this right now. And they'll take that feedback on board and try to make it better next time.
Yeah, agreed. I've heard all this. I haven't watched the broadcast back. I wanted to come into this podcast with a perspective, but on the ground perspective, not tainted by watching the broadcast again. And I thought I'd give you that perspective. But yeah, I've heard these things as well, and I think it's good that these relatively minor things that can be tweaked and changed are the complaints this
Mm.
time. You know, I've heard people saying the bike course looked a bit
I mean, the
ugly
course
on the
looks shit. Like, I'm
broadcast.
sorry, the course did
Yeah,
look shit. Like,
and it depends what you're trying to do, doesn't it? Because a lot of people are saying it wasn't a showcase for London,
it
and
might
it
as well not have been
certainly,
in London, to be honest. Like,
yeah,
there's,
yeah, it
yeah.
certainly doesn't showcase London. The the age group bike course for the T100 long race is uh, is remarkable, in my opinion. I love that bike course. You go right down the Thames, you go all the way to the Millennium Eye, you see the Houses of Parliament, you see all these London landmarks. And I got some brilliant pictures last year of me on the bike ahead of the going past the Millennium Eye, all of this. And I know that there'll be logistic problems why they can't do that. There'll be cost issues with road closures and how long roads can be closed for. Closing roads in London, as someone who used to work in water engineering and water main laying and stuff, I understand that ain't cheap. So all these problems exist, but fuck, that bike course would be better if they were doing that long age group course that really does showcase a city. It depends what you're trying to do, doesn't it? Are you trying to showcase a city, or are you trying to produce good quality racing? Now we certainly managed to produce good quality racing, And just because a broadcast is ugly, as in the city around it is not looking particularly pretty, does that mean that the racing within that broadcast isn't worth watching? No, not at
Mm,
all. So, it depends what you're trying to do. And if I was the T100 and I'm talking to London and saying, well, if you want us to showcase the city a bit more pretty, then let's see some investment from the city of London to try and make this happen. If you want this to be you watch the Tour de France, that's a showcase for France. Those
mm.
villages that are part of that, they've paid to be part of that because they want people, they want to generate tourism. That's the conversation that's probably taking place with London. One point I do want to make about the race weekend as well is the on the ground volunteers, the people that helped facilitate our weekend and gave directions. It was second to none. I would say it was one of the best staffed races I've ever been to. There was never, I was never out of reach of somebody to say, oh, which way do I need to go? How do I need to get here? And most of the time, I didn't need to ask. You got funneled through this system, and there'd be somebody there giving you perfect instructions as to where you needed to be and what you needed to do. The volunteers were excellent. The staff were excellent. Um, and final point, because it's just come into my head, Sam Renouf did the run relay, the run part of for one team in the City AM relay, and I beat his 5K time.
Wow, mate, that's I mean, you've scalped
That
Javier
made me
Gomez,
happy.
you've scalped Sam Renouf now. All we need you to
There you
do
go.
is do a race with Mark Cavendish and scalp him, and then it's
There you go.
good
Then it's
times for
just
all.
the world tour complete.
While
But
you're
yeah,
talking, you did remind me of something, and I think it's again talking about the location, and everything. I also find it's probably amplified this year because we also don't have the Super Tri London event this year. And it's fascinating because the Super Tri London race, I don't think there's anything particularly iconically London about it, but to me there was. I found that that race was, I mean, I understand. I've been to both races, but watching that London race for the Super Tri, I thought was like the
funnily enough, they are in remarkably similar places.
correct. That's kind of my
It's
point,
like,
right? Yeah, they're not
yeah,
far away
it's
at
down the
at
road
all.
because I used to live on the Isle of Dogs, which is right there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, and Canary Wharf is where the Superdry place is, and the London Excel is just there. So it's all in the same arena.
That was kind of my point
And
I was
you're
going to
right,
say
but
is,
what Superdry do is they choose these sort of enclosed
mm,
venues that feel very arena-ish esque, and you've got this. It feels complete.
I
The
was
race venue feels complete, whereas the T100, watching the broadcast bits and pieces, it did feel a bit like construction-y, and there's loads of cones everywhere. And which way do I go and stuff like this.
I was having this conversation with somebody this week about it. We were talking about the course in particular, and do you think there is a universe where because I think hands down the highlight of the London race is when they're inside the Excel Centre. Inside the Excel Centre is legit. Like the crowd is loud, there's full on atmosphere. But what people don't see on the broadcast is they probably use a fifth of the whole space. It's like the little race bit down in the corner, and then you've got the whole big rest of the empty Excel Centre. Now,
Well,
I've
it's
spoken.
filled with age group bikes and age group racing and stuff. That's
Yeah.
the issue
But
now.
what with the introduction of things like Hyrox now, where you see Hyrox has like the 1K loop around it, do you think there's a universe where we could see longer distance racing happening on a like a 1K course on the run or something like that? And maybe I don't know, I just feel like maybe a potential future, and I'm thinking purely now about a broadcastable, spectated sport, is to start to make these longer races on a shorter course. Like, yes, it was 5 laps, but I still think that far into the course, watching on the broadcast, and there's no spectators even allowed out there, right? Like, that's just the nature of where the race was held. Do you think that there could be a scenario? You've heard me talk about Super Tri doing a race in a car park, for example. Like, do you think we could see something happen where maybe we start to see these longer distance races happening on a 5K bike course, a 1K run course, eliminations for lapped athletes? Instead of a 2 lap swim, a 5 lap swim, so they're coming out the Aussie exit more frequently, so we get more up to date splits. Like, do you think that's a possibility, or you don't think so?
I mean, it would be cool, wouldn't it? I would
So,
love to see that. A party, because, where I was watching the race from my up high vantage point, put that in the middle of a massive arena and have the race just constantly happening around you. Because, like you say, the atmosphere and what they've captured in that Excel Center where they come through and do these laps is legit. It really is. The atmosphere goes through the roof when the athletes come through. It's loud, it's noisy. Capture that, bottle that, and make that the event. Make it a constant roar as these athletes are racing around you.
it's kind of what I think.
I'd love
Yeah.
to see I mean, even if you kept the swim and the bike the same, and just had the run in
Yeah.
a closed arena, like on a velodrome or something, or a run track. That would be
I
something
also,
to
I
behold.
also, while I did struggle to watch the bike course, I don't mind. Like, I actually think that if you're going to have a relatively flat course, you should put something in to make it like make chicanes or make things that are actually going to create a strategic element too. Because I know that Harry from Evolve Wheels, who was on course, was saying that he was standing in this one part of the course, and he was saying that Hayden Wilde would go through with Rico Bogan, and Sam Long would go through the same section, and he reckons Sam Long was losing at least 5 seconds every time he'd go through that one particular section. And I think you even saw at points on the bike, you'd see an athlete like sort of back off and then speed up. But I think if you're going to have a relatively flat course instead of hills, let's increase some. Like we can create scenarios where there is more technical, they need to handle or they need to make some strategic decisions or tactical decisions. So yeah, I think that there's still a fair bit that can be done in terms of the course design. But I think overall this was a good event. I mean, fairy tale for both men's and women's, two standout performances, and yeah, I think overall it was pretty great. I mean, we've spoken about for nearly an hour, so
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Overall, pretty great. And like I said about Taylor's quote about, the standings on the women's side, we are seeing the T100 become a series where you don't know who's going to win. You don't know how it's going to shake out. Look at our picks, for example, we got it fairly wrong. Mika Newt, who has had his first second place, but is currently leading the series because of consistency. I'd love to see that. Yella Gaines, I mean, the standout athlete at the moment, the form athlete at the moment, is in second place. Hayden Wilde, who, if he carries on like he is should be dominating the the series.
Oh,
But
Christ Almighty! For people who
fifth
are
place in
listening,
the
not
standings.
watching, my camera keeps doing this weird thing where it like super zooms in on me, and I have to turn it on and off. So that's why James keeps laughing.
Sorry, it's like a zoomed in face all of a sudden. Yeah, I'm here for it. I know
Maybe that's what put on my tri suit.
there are some people that yeah, there are some people that say they aren't quite as clued into the T100 as I seem to be, but I am actually here for it, and I really like what they're doing, and I want it to succeed. And I want it to continue. I want it to grow because yeah, I love it.
Now, mate, thank you. Now I realized something while we were talking before about we hadn't really covered it in our notes, and I'm struggling very quickly. Yeah. So did you know that Alex Yee ran a very, very fast K? Alex Yee ran a very, very fast 5K on the weekend. Have you heard about this?
No, mate, I did not. No, I was more interested in me, Sam Renouf, Michael Dorst, and Tim Hemming running our
Well,
5Ks, to
okay,
be
you
honest.
ran a 5K and you were very happy to tell me it was a 5K PB. So let's do a direct comparison.
In the modern era, since I've
What's
been an
what was your
adult,
5K
it's in
time
my
on the weekend?
second
Tell me, what was your
20
5K
minutes
time?
and 19 seconds.
Can I get that out again, please?
20 minutes and 19 seconds.
So that's congratulations. I'm very proud of you for that. Alex Yee ran 13 minutes and 13 seconds for
Yeah,
5,000
fine,
meters.
remarkable, isn't it?
Fucking
Bloody
hell.
hell.
And the reason I wanted to bring this up, firstly, because it's incredible, but one of the things that I thought, again, the GOAT Jan Frodeno said in the commentary when he was talking about Hayden Wilde, is he said, we've spoken so much about what happened back, it was 98 days ago. We haven't spoken enough about what happened 99 days ago, which was the fact that Hayden ran like, what was it, a 27:20 or something ridiculous 10K. And since then, we've seen Alex go and do a 2:11, and now he's doing a 13:13. God damn, that's a fast run, mate. I know that Hayden a couple of years ago, I think it was probably in the lead up to Tokyo, actually. Was it when he was trying to qualify for the New Zealand 5K team? We were talking with him and he was saying I think he had to do a qualifying time of 13:13 and he was
Mm.
13:29, I think. I'm guessing numbers now right now. Alex here, 13:13, mate. Only 7 minutes faster than you in the modern era, obviously. Not bad.
Modern era, yeah. Yeah, I mean, absolutely incredible running. Really is. It's
Stupid.
yeah, it's silly speeds. And I can't imagine what's that per K? What's that pace per K?
Too fast, too something, too. I don't even want to,
Yeah.
like, I can't run 1 kilometer that fast, mate.
No, no. I did my final kilometer in the weekend in 3:51 and I felt like I was going to die as I crossed the finish line.
Mate, again, I'm very happy for you. And I also appreciated the definition on your calves on the photos that you put up on Instagram as well. Like, they were some very fine looking baby cows
Yeah, man.
lighting up the gram.
Yeah, there you go. You gotta whip the calves out sometimes, haven't you?
Mate, that's it's true. Now, we spoke about this last week a little bit. Let's wrap up this week because it is race weekend. Races continue to happen, and this week we touched on the start lists last week in we have a men's pro race and a female pro race. Let's unpack the races a little bit, maybe make a few picks. Let's start with Ironman Kalmar, a female only pro race that is happening this weekend. To remind you, we've got Marlene de Boer, Katrine Grossball, Christensen, Sarah Svensk, Chelsea Sodaro, Nikki Bartlett, Jocelyn Macaulay, Megan Tunza, Hannah Monday. They're the sort of names that I recognize. What do you think is going to happen? What are you expecting to see happen in Ironman Kalmar?
Who knows, mate? We're going to have an intensity of racing never seen before at Ironman Kalmar.
Was, yeah, I agree. I think that I'm fascinated to see Chelsea Sodaro because we've spoken so much about what this race in Kona is going to look like with, Lucy and Laura and Kat and Taylor. And we're not really talking about Chelsea Sodaro, but, 2 years before, or the time before Lucy did it, Chelsea dominated that race. And I'd love to see her go out and make a bit of a statement at this event and put herself back on people's radars for Kona. So I'm keen to see what Chelsea does out there.
Yeah, same. I think Chelsea Sodaro will be the one to watch to see where she's at. Like you say earlier, we've got all these athletes, these top pro women, as we start to edge towards Kona, all showing form in different ways and beating each other. The one person we haven't really seen a huge amount from is Chelsea Sodaro. So where she's at, this will be an interesting indicator for that. I'm also just keen to see Nikki Bartlett race again. I know she's had a bit of time off. She hasn't had the easiest of years, and we saw her do really well in Roth and take a bit of time. And now I'd like to see her come back strong and have a really nice race here.
I'd like to see. I think a happy Nikki is a fast running Nikki, and I'd love to
Yeah,
see her drop a really, really good run split at this
yeah,
race.
yeah.
Like I said, Sarah Svensk is an athlete that I've for a long time sort of always seen her and expected her. Like she's a threat to me in my head, Sarah Svensk. But I feel like I'm yet to see her, or not for a while at least, sort of deliver on those expectations that I have. So again, I'm always, yeah, every time I see Sarah Svensk on a start list, I think she could be dangerous, and I'd like to see her be dangerous. I believe she's Swedish too, so a home race for her, which would be good. Marlene de Boer's doing really well this year as well, has a number of very, very impressive performances. So the women's race should be pretty good, but I'm going to go Chelsea Sodaro. I think we're going to see Chelsea. And just for the sake of Kona, I think she's going to absolutely wow us all, come close to breaking the Ironman record, and suddenly everybody's going to be putting another name in the hat for what could potentially happen in Kona. Because in my mind now, we're going to have five women running down the Queen K back towards Palani for a sprint finish in Kona.
How
How
cool would
good would
that
that
be?
be? Fuck, man, so
How
good.
good would that be? Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
the, the other race, as I touched on last week, we only, I think, named the start list, but it's happening this weekend, is Ironman Copenhagen. Um, to refresh your memory as well, so we've got Joe Skipper, Rasmus Svenningson, Michael Weiss, Cody Beals, Jesper Svensson, Thor Bendix Madsen. Who else do I recognize on this start list? They're probably the big ones for me. Emil Holm, obviously, friend of the podcast. Emil, yeah, how do you see this race going?
I see Emil attacking from the gun, leading the race, and never looking back, building up a buffer of about 20 minutes and taking the win.
Mate, honestly, I'd love to see that. So I think Emil's going to have a pretty good advantage in the swim in terms of the fact, what am I saying? Emil is a short course athlete. He's gone to the Olympics, so he's going to have a semi decent swim. It's a saltwater swim in an enclosed harbour, so I don't think the elements are going to be too big a factor. I think the bike course is going to be fast. It's not televised, so there's probably not going to be a whole heap of motorbikes and things on course. So I think it should be relatively fair. And then this race is in the center of Copenhagen, so you're going to have a lot of spectators. The Scandinavians in particular love to support live events, so I think
Yeah.
this is a really good race. I'm very, very biased, and I'm going to say I think Joe Skipper's going to win the thing, mostly because I hope he does. But I also think Emil, I'm probably going to put Emil on a podium. I'm going to also hope that Rasmus Svenningson is back to his best. So,
Yeah, that would be good to see. That would be good to see. Rasmus has been injured, obviously. He's come back. He's done a long period of rehab, but he's telling me his numbers are better than they've ever been. So it'd be great to see him have a race.
new
Michael Weiss
coach
as well.
too.
I'd like to see him do well.
New coach for
Yeah, new
Rasmus,
coach as
right?
well.
So,
New coach for Rasmus. Yeah, so he's made some changes, and sometimes change is as good as a rest, eh?
Is this his first big race since the changing coach, or
Yes, this will be his first race since the
okay?
changing coach. Because he changed coach and then he got injured.
Okay. Okay. Well, again,
So
looking forward to. So, we'll have to track those races. They're not going to be broadcast, but I think we should see some pretty good racing this weekend. And then I think there's also a couple of other start lists, but we'll talk about those next week. Jimbo, we've done pretty well this week. We spoke a lot about T100. We didn't even touch on the fact that one of their races has been cancelled. I guess we'll talk about that next week.
yeah, I mean, just a little bit of meat on that bones because there's a lot of noise on social media, isn't there, about how it's been cancelled. It's the World Cup that's been cancelled in Valencia, which has impacted the T100 race. The T100 race, which was pro only, is still going to be going ahead. There is going to be a pro race. They're just going to find a new
Is it?
venue for it.
Ah, I didn't
Yes.
know that. Okay. Well, let's unpack that next week. Maybe there'll be a bit more information by the time we record next week. Jimbo, if people want to find out more about Talking Triathlon, where do they need to go?
Yeah, if you want to support the show, jump on at patreon.com/, talking triathlon. If you want to follow Tim, is at T414 on Instagram, and I'm at bale.james85 on Instagram. We are on Instagram as at talking triathlon. If you join the Patreon group, you will get access to the monthly bonus episodes and the social group and the all important WhatsApp group, which keeps us fueled with triathlon chat, entertainment, and generally good times every day. If you're not a patron but you still want to leave a comment, then the best place to do that is on YouTube, and we're more than likely to see it and respond.
Correct. I would just
We don't
ask
respond to all of them.
anybody listening or watching this week who notices the little Easter eggs. Was my revenge for James. Feel free to message him, but don't tell him what it is. I'm looking forward to seeing if he works it out himself. But yeah, feel free to be like, just message James or put a comment on the YouTube, which is like, I spotted it, and we'll see what happens. But Jimbo, a pleasure as always. I'll talk to you later, mate.
Cheerio.